Every so often, horror goes through a reset. The genre stops chasing trends, stops relying on loud noises and nostalgia, and remembers what it's actually supposed to do: make people uncomfortable. 2025 feels like one of those rare reset years, not because every horror film is great, but because the genre as a whole feels deliberate again. So, the question isn't whether 2025 has good horror films, it clearly does. The question is whether this might be the strongest year horror has had in a long time. What defines horror in 2025 isn't gore, monsters, or shock value. It's intent. These films know what kind of fear they are trying to create, and they commit to it. Sinners is a perfect example. It's less interested in spectacle and far more interested in moral rot. The horror doesn't arrive all at once. It builds slowly, quietly, until you realize something is deeply wrong. Bring Her Back works in similar way. Grief becomes the monster, silence becomes the threat. These films don't trust the audience. They let discomfort breathe, and that takes confidence. Another reason 2025 stands out is how many horror films are built around ideas, not gimmicks. Companion taps directly into modern anxiety, not artificial intelligence going rogue, but human depends on it. The fear comes from familiarity, from recognition, from the uncomfortable sense that this isn't science fiction, it's a warning. Then there's Weapons, a film that refused to hold the audience's hand. Fragmented storytelling, conflicting perspectives, a slow realization that the truth might be worse than anything shown on the screen. These films demand patience, and in return they reward attention. That's not something horror always does, and it's exactly why 2025 feels different. Franchises are usually where horror ghosts die. Endless sequels, diminishing returns, the same scares repeated until they stop working. But in 2025, even the familiar title showed restraint. Final Destination Bloodlines understand the core appeal of the franchise, not the elaborate deaths, but the inevitability behind them. It's less cartoonish, more fatalistic. The Black Phone 2 avoids the usual trap. It doesn't just escalate the violence, it expands the emotional weight. Fear is rooted in character again, which is why it works. These films don't invent horror, but they respect its foundations, and that alone sets 2025 apart. Now, perspective matters. 2025 isn't standing alone in horror history. Years like 2016, 2018, and 2022 reshaped the genre in meaningful ways. Those years introduced new voices, new tones, new expectations. What 2025 does differently is consistency. There's a shared understanding across films that horror doesn't need to apologize for being slow, dark, or unsettling, and that's a rare alignment. So, is 2025 is the best year for horror films? Maybe not the greatest of all time, but it is one of the most confident, one of the most thoughtful, and one of the least afraid to challenge its audience. Horror in 2025 doesn't beg for attention. It waits, and that patience is exactly what makes it work.